Welcome back to Tailosive Tech, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're unboxing a MacBook that should be pretty freaking adorable because it's one of the thinner and lighter laptops Apple's made in the past few years. MacBook Air doesn't get redesigned all that too often, and because it's an unboxing, there has to be some emphasis on the box itself. We have a tear down the middle here, which should be pretty simple. You just kind of rip it like that, even the outside of the packaging. And on the inside you have, oh, look at that. It's like a perfect little L because, of course, it showcases how incredibly thin the MacBook Air is on the inside, while also saving a ton on ink, because Tim has another house to afford next year. So yes, I did the generic thing that everybody does, and I got the midnight color just because it looks so cool in the website. There's been a lot of complaining and a lot of disappointments being expressed online of it scratches too easily or it shows fingerprints too easily, but is everything just about aesthetics to you people? Why does beauty matter so? Oh my god, is that life size? Is that actually how thin it is? That's incredible. Okay, yeah, aesthetics matter a little bit, but due to the poll, I actually ended up opting for the 512 gig MacBook Air because I guess people think the 256 gig one is such a scam that we shouldn't even acknowledge its existence. So yeah, we're not testing out the one with the slower read and write speeds, but I am taking a trip tomorrow, so I plan on taking this on my trip. And even though Apple's been removing the plastic from a lot of their packaging to save the environment, I guess Apple decided to screw the environment this time. So let me just pull the plastic off and throw it into a nearby beaver's home. All right, I'm gonna put it down like this, and we're gonna lift the top off. Moment of truth. Let's see if they got my order correctly. Can you imagine if it was just like a Starlight MacBook Air? That would offend me on religious levels. Whoa! Oh my god, the color shows through the wax paper already. Okay, where am I gonna decorate it? Is it bad that I'm more distracted by the box than the laptop itself? This is basically the first time I get to feel the weight of the Air MacBook, so I'm curious to how lightweight it feels. Ooh, okay. There's still a bit of weight to it. It's honestly pretty close to my iPad Pro back when it had the Magic Keyboard case, but luckily I don't have to pick that thing up anymore because it's a complete joke. I'm gonna tear the paper open here. Ooh, I'm doing this so wrong. Wow. Look at how thin that puppy is. Oh my gosh. It almost feels like a toy. It's like impossibly small. It honestly feels lighter with the paper off of it. I know the paper must weigh something, but it shouldn't weigh that much. Jeez, it just has a little bit of an intake back here, despite the fact that there's no fan in it. And what's crazy is how thin it feels before I've even opened it. Like they have to pack an entire display in there as well. Just first impressions before I've ruined this entire product with my oils and sweat because it's hot in here, and for the sake of audio, I'm not running any air conditioner or fans, so you're welcome. But Midnight looks great. Just looking at it before I even open the thing, this looks absolutely gorgeous, and first impressions, I would rather have my MacBook in this color than the space gray I actually ended up getting. I think this looks way, way cooler. My hands aren't super sweaty yet, so let's see how bad the fingerprints can be. I'm not noticing much, to be honest. I think that there's fingerprints on really any metal. I notice fingerprints and oil smudges on my MacBook Pro, and that one's space gray. So maybe it's harder to notice when it's silver, but just holding this and looking at it, it doesn't feel super fingerprinty. I mean, obviously a little bit, but I think now that people are drawing attention to it, we're all gonna start to notice it. But hey, they actually listened on everyone's complaints with the MagSafe cable, because now we actually get color-matched braided cables, which is pretty sweet. Although a lot of people were complaining that the USB-C part of the cable is white. I think that's just so that they can color match it to the charge brick. However, what would be even cooler is if they color matched the charge bricks with your MacBook. That way you could have Midnight or Space Gray, or not Starlight because Starlight sucks, but just color matched charge bricks with the MacBook. I think that would be cool. Does all the plastic have to be white Apple? What is it with Apple and white plastic? And here we have, oh my god, look how tiny this charge brick is. Oh, I forgot it comes with this. Sorry, you probably want my reactions of opening this up. I'm gonna make you wait a little bit longer. But this one comes with the dual USB-C port 35 watt brick. This makes so much sense, and I really wish they would do it on more of their accessories. Why is it that they get inspired to do 2 USB-C ports with the 35-watt brick? I have a 140-watt brick beneath the desk that just has a single port on it. Like, why does it work that way? But actually, this is going to be very useful on my trip because I can power MagSafe Duo and charge the MacBook off of a single wall outlet. Although this one takes up a lot more space, that's probably going to occupy 2 outlets. There goes the whole point of having 2 ports on a single brick. So thanks, Apple, for that pointless addition. I've been reading online that you get, ooh, you do, look at that, midnight Apple stickers. That's pretty awesome. They did that with the MacBook Air in the old days, and it's good to see they're still doing it. But yeah, we got surprisingly new accessories with this MacBook as well, despite it being much, much cheaper than my MacBook Pro. All right, let's get to the moment y'all have been waiting for, the end of the video. Thank you all for what? No, I'm kidding. Gotta throw all this crap over there, and wow, you can already see in relation to my MacBook Pro here how much smaller a footprint it makes up, and it sits almost super flush with the desk itself. So I think it should boot up right away. Let me give it a shot. Oop, wow. It boots up very, very quickly. And we have the little plastic paper here. I'm just going to pull that off. Oh my goodness. This is adorable. This is the cutest MacBook I've ever seen in years. Oh my goodness. It's so small. The bezel goes way up more to the edge. This looks so much cleaner than the old MacBook Air. I'm sorry. The keys are just so close to the edges here. You know something I didn't even notice? I actually didn't catch this during the event and everything. There's no speaker holes of any kind. Like, the aluminum just goes straight along the keyboard. I thought it was actually going to be more like the 14-inch MacBook Pro where you still have the speaker holes in the side, but those things don't do much anyway. So I guess the sound just kind of comes through the keyboard and out the top here, but it looks really, really clean, especially considering this is not mini LED. That's an LCD panel. It still looks really solid. Can I boost the brightness? No, it probably wants me to set up here. There were other people online noticing the click factor of the MacBook Air sounding a little different. It's honestly like, oh no, stop talking. Honestly, the click doesn't sound that different to me. If there is a difference, it's very subtle. I need to compare them side by side. Let me try this here. Okay, there's a little bit more treble in the sound waves that are emitting from the haptic feedback. I'm going into full-on audiophile mode now, and yeah, I love that Siri starts yelling at you if you don't talk to it soon enough. Okay, so I'm gonna connect to the Wi-Fi here so we can get it all set up. Wow, when this thing is opened, look how freaking thin that display lid is. It's insane. I think kind of similar to how the iPhone XR was LCD but was trying to look like an iPhone X. It had slightly thicker bezels, and it feels kind of like a similar situation here. Like, I'm looking at my 16-inch MacBook Pro, which has a very thin bezel around the edge. This also has a pretty thin bezel, but it's a little bit thicker, and that makes the notch look like a little bit deeper of a cut. So it doesn't look bad by any means, and yes, in person, it's quite captivating. Like, I love that they got rid of the MacBook Air text underneath the display. Thank you, Apple, for ditching that trend, but we still have a headphone jack on the side. If there was a MacBook to ditch the headphone jack, I feel like it would probably be this one first, just because the number of audio professionals using this thing, probably not very high, but hey, they've got room for it, and they know it wouldn't change much for them, so they kept it there anyway. And because of the thicker bezels, the notch looks a little bit deeper, just a tad bit thicker than my MacBook Pro, but hey, if that bigger notch means that the webcam gets better, and I use the webcam on my MacBook Pro all the time, that's the same kind of webcam they're putting in here, then yes, the notch is absolutely worth it, even if it's a little bit thicker, because overall, this display is still larger than it was on the old Air, which I don't use super regularly, so I don't have much to compare it to, but it definitely feels like it's taking better use of this much smaller footprint. Just makes me wonder how much cuter this MacBook would be if they thinned it up just a little bit more, and they got the chassis to the exact edge of where the keyboard ends. That would be kind of cool to see in the future. Hopefully Apple decides to make different versions of MacBook Air in the future. It's rumored to next year maybe get a 15-inch version, which I could see a ton of people actually liking, because even though I'm just kind of setting up my account right now and not doing much with the screen, I already feel a little bit constrained, but that's likely just just inevitable because I was used to a 27-inch iMac Pro for years, then I downsized to a 16-inch MacBook Pro, now I'm downsizing again to a 13-inch MacBook Air, but hey, that's what the point of the Air is, to be small and compact, and I still got a lot of setting up to do, but we're still going to try to do everything I need for my job off of this machine. Testing out how the exports do compared to my 16-inch MacBook Pro, which I don't expect it to beat, but if it gets close, I'm gonna feel like I spent more money than I needed to. And also how fast it exports compared to my iMac Pro, which is 5 years old and it cost a whole lot more, but wouldn't it be impressive if with the power of Apple Silicon and a fanless design, it could actually start to outperform that powerful Intel machine from years ago? The M1 MacBook Air came pretty dang close last time I tested it, so live streaming, podcast recording, video editing, all of that kind of stuff I'm gonna cover on this channel. If there's anything else you want me to cover with the M2 MacBook Air, of course, feel free to let me know what you're thinking down below. And yes, after using it for a couple more minutes, I'm noticing how much fingerprints and oils this thing collects. I don't even care though, because it just still, even through all the oils, looks so cool. This is your Alp Sheep here, and I'll see you all in the next one.